They had no steel, no engines, yet they built something we still don't fully understand. Picture this. For 1,500 years ago, before steel, before engines, before even the wheel was commonplace in this desert land, a civilization achieved the utterly impossible. They moved mountains of stone, not with magic, but with mind-blowing ingenuity. They built monuments so vast, so precise, so jaw-droppingly colossal that they still dominate the skyline today, leaving scientists and engineers scratching their heads in awe and disbelief. Forget everything you think you know about aliens or lost supertech. The true story of how the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids, especially the Great Pyramid of Giza, is a triumph of human spirit, organization, and stone-cold genius on a scale that's almost hard to fathom. This isn't just about stacking rocks. This is the ultimate engineering puzzle, solved with nothing but copper tools, limestone, sand, sweat, and sheer, breathtaking intelligence. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the desert sands of time to uncover the real secrets behind the world's most iconic ancient wonders. Let the sheer magnitude sink in. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, built around 2580 BC, originally stood a staggering 481 feet tall. That's like stacking nearly 40 double-decker buses on top of each other. Its base covers over 13 acres. Imagine 10 football fields paved solid with stone. And the weight. Hold onto your hats. Approximately 6 million tons of limestone and granite. To put that in perspective, that's heavier than all the skyscrapers in Manhattan combined. This behemoth was constructed from an estimated 2.3 million individual blocks, each one averaging 2.5 tons, the weight of a large SUV. But some, like the massive granite slabs in the king's chamber deep inside, weighed in at a crushing 60 to 80 tons. And they did this not once, but multiple times, building pyramids across generations. The question screams at us across the millennia. How? How did they quarry, move, lift, and place these monstrous stones with such laser-like precision that the base is level to within less than an inch and the sides align almost perfectly with the cardinal points of the compass? Myths abound. Whispers of vanished technologies, divine intervention, or even extraterrestrial architects. But the truth, painstakingly pieced together by decades of archaeology, geology, physics, and good old-fashioned detective work, is far more fascinating and, frankly, far more human. First, let's shatter a Hollywood illusion. No, it wasn't built by slaves. Forget those images of brutal whips and masses of miserable captives. The evidence, found right there at Giza in the workers' settlements, tells a radically different story. This was a national project of immense pride and spiritual significance. Think of it like a gigantic, sacred mission that united the country. The workforce consisted of tens of thousands of skilled laborers and craftsmen, organized into rotating crews with names like the Friends of Khufu or the Drunkards of Menkaure, found inscribed on stones. These weren't slaves. They were farmers recruited from villages across Egypt during the annual Nile floods when their fields were underwater and farming impossible. They were paid in bread, beer, oil, fish, and cloth, the essentials of life. They worked in shifts, likely 3 months on, then home. Excavations reveal bakeries producing thousands of loaves daily, hospitals setting broken bones, common pyramid-building injuries, and even evidence of beef being part of their diet, a luxury food. This was hard, dangerous labor, absolutely, but done by willing participants serving their god-king and ensuring cosmic order, Ma'at, and their own place in the afterlife. The pyramids were built by Egyptians, for Egypt, with incredible organization and purpose. The genius started long before the first stone was laid. Location was everything. The Giza Plateau wasn't chosen randomly. It offered a massive, stable bedrock foundation capable of supporting millions of tons without sinking. Crucially, it sat right next to the Nile, the superhighway of ancient Egypt. This proximity was absolutely critical. Most of the pyramid's core stones were local limestone, quarried right on the Giza Plateau itself. Imagine the scene. Workers identifying large, relatively flat areas of good stone. They'd soak wooden wedges in water along natural fissures. As the wood expanded, boom, giant blocks would crack free. For the smooth, dazzling white Tura limestone casing that once made the pyramid shine like a beacon visible for miles. Sadly mostly looted over centuries, they went across the river. Quarrying here involved cutting deep trenches around blocks and using levers and ropes to free them. But how to move them? Water was the secret weapon. Archaeologists found evidence of a major canal system dug right up to the base of the Giza Plateau. Barges, powered by sails and oars, would carry the heavy Tura limestone blocks directly from the quarries across the Nile, right to the construction site during the flood season when water levels were highest. Think of it, floating multi-ton stones on giant rafts. For the incredibly hard granite used for the king's chamber and sarcophagus, sourced from Aswan over 500 miles south, this water highway was even more essential. Transporting just one 70-ton granite slab required a massive purpose-built barge, expertly navigated down the Nile, a logistical feat in itself. Okay, stones are quarried and delivered. Now comes the really mind-bending part, moving them up. How do you haul a 2.5-ton block, let alone a 70-ton monster, hundreds of feet vertically? The Egyptians didn't have cranes or pulleys as we know them. Their secret weapon? Ramps. Lots and lots of ramps. But this wasn't just dumping sand. This was precision ramp engineering. Think of the physics. Hauling a heavy block up a slope. The steeper the ramp, the harder the pull. Too steep, and it becomes impossible, even for large teams. Too shallow, and the ramp becomes unbelievably long, requiring more material than the pyramid itself. Evidence points to a multi-ramp strategy, evolving as the pyramid grew taller. Early on, a large, straight ramp made of compacted earth, mud brick, and limestone chips likely ran directly from the quarry or harbor up one side of the pyramid. But as the pyramid got taller, this straight ramp would have become absurdly long and unstable. So, the builders likely switched to zigzagging ramps running back and forth up one face, or even spiral ramps wrapping around the growing structure, supported by the pyramid's own lower courses. The final few meters to place the pyramidi on, the capstone, might have involved a small, steep internal ramp or ingenious levering systems. Now, how were the blocks moved on these ramps? Sledges. Not wheels, too hard on sand and gravel, but massive wooden sledges. We see this depicted in tomb paintings. Workers would pour water onto the sand or clay path ahead of the sledge. This remarkably simple trick reduced friction drastically. Wet sand grains don't pile up, they slide past each other, turning the surface into a near-frictionless slip and slide for stone. Teams of laborers, pulling with ropes, possibly aided by oxen for the heaviest loads, would haul the sledge up the ramp. The sound must have been deafening. Chants, drumbeats to coordinate pulls, the scrape of wood on dampened earth, the shouts of overseers. Pure, coordinated human power, amplified by brilliant physics. Hauling the blocks up is one thing. Placing them with near-supernatural accuracy is another level of mastery entirely. How did they achieve a base perfectly level across 13 acres? The answer is deceptively simple and utterly brilliant: water. They likely dug a network of shallow trenches crisscrossing the level bedrock foundation. Filling these trenches with water created a giant, natural level. By measuring down from the water's surface at countless points across the site, they could ensure the entire foundation platform was exactly the same height, a massive, flat canvas ready for construction. Now, aligning the pyramid's sides almost perfectly with true north, south, east, and west. How? They used the stars. Specifically, tracking the circular motion of a single star, like Kochab in the Little Dipper constellation, around the celestial pole over a single night. By marking where the star rose and set relative to a fixed rod or plumb line, they could establish a dead-accurate north-south line. This celestial surveying was incredibly sophisticated astronomy applied to massive earthbound construction. Once the perfect square base was set, maintaining the exact angles as the pyramid rose was crucial. Evidence suggests they might have used simple wooden A-frame levels filled with water to check the slope of the faces constantly. Placing the massive casing stones, which needed to fit together with minimal gaps to create that smooth, seamless surface, required incredible stoneworking skill. Stones were precisely shaped at the quarry or on-site using copper chisels, hard enough for limestone, but requiring constant resharpening. Stone hammers, and drills with abrasive sand. Fitting was likely done by trial and error, rubbing stones together with sand slurry as an abrasive until the fit was perfect. This laser focus on precision, achieved with rudimentary tools, is perhaps the most awe-inspiring aspect of all. The pyramid isn't just a solid heap, it's a complex internal maze built with the same astonishing precision. The Grand Gallery inside the Great Pyramid is a masterclass in corbelled architecture, each layer of stone slightly overhanging the one below, narrowing as it rises, distributing immense weight without collapsing. The massive granite beams forming the roof of the king's chamber, each weighs dozens of tons. They were hauled up internal ramps, now mostly filled in, or possibly pulled up the outside ramps and maneuvered into position through temporary openings. Above the king's chamber, archaeologists discovered 5 relieving chambers stacked on top of each other, separated by massive granite slabs. Why? Pure structural genius. These chambers distribute the colossal weight of the pyramid pressing down from above, preventing the ceiling of the king's chamber from collapsing under thousands of tons of stone. It's essentially the world's first known weight distribution system built into a structure. Even the air shafts, or star shafts, leading from the king's and queen's chambers, though their exact ritual purpose is debated, show an understanding of needing to maintain air circulation deep within the massive stone structure. Every internal feature, from the descending passage to the subterranean chamber, was meticulously planned and executed as the pyramid rose around it. There was no room for error deep inside millions of tons of rock. Let's be clear, building the pyramids was brutal. The desert sun was relentless. Accidents with falling stone or snapping ropes were common. Skeletons show-healed fractures, but also fatal injuries. Dust inhalation, back-breaking labor, the sheer scale of the daily grind. It took a tremendous toll. Estimates vary wildly, but a core workforce of 20,000–30,000 skilled workers, supported by tens of thousands more providing food, supplies, and logistics, likely worked for 20–30 years to complete the Great Pyramid. This was a society-wide effort, consuming vast resources. But the legacy? Beyond comprehension. The pyramids stand as the ultimate testament to what humans can achieve when united by vision, organized by brilliant minds, and driven by deep belief. They showcase mastery of mathematics, astronomy, physics, geology, logistics, and project management millennia ahead of their time. They prove that ancient doesn't mean primitive. The Egyptians solved engineering problems modern software would struggle with, using observation, experimentation, and relentless practical intelligence. They manipulated their environment, harnessing the Nile's flood, exploiting the desert's resources, understanding the properties of stone and sand, to create the impossible. So were there secrets? Absolutely. But they weren't magic spells or alien blueprints. The real secrets were human ones. The organizational genius to feed and house an army of workers for decades. The logistical mastery to move mountains of stone across river and desert. The astronomical precision aligning a mountain with the heavens. The structural innovation hidden within the stone. The sheer, unwavering determination of thousands. The pyramids weren't built from the top down, but from the ground up, stone by backbreaking stone, idea by brilliant idea. They are a monument not just to dead kings, but to the living ingenuity of an entire civilization. Standing before them today, 4,500 years later, we aren't just looking at ancient tombs. We are staring directly into the ambitious, brilliant, and utterly determined soul of humanity itself. They whisper across the desert, "Look what we did. Imagine what you can do." That's the true secret of the pyramids, a secret written not in hieroglyphs, but in stone, sweat, and staggering human achievement. The mystery isn't if they built them, but the jaw-dropping how they pulled it off. And that story is infinitely more powerful than any myth. That is the enduring echo of the pyramids. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more documentaries like this. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next one.